Shalom Aleichem, everyone. Hope everyone had a peaceful and quiet week. And we daven for the safety and security of our chayalim, for success in their mission, and there should be peace for the Jewish people all around the world. I wanted to share a thought about chesed. And Avram Avinu, we're told that he was speaking to Hashem, and then in the middle of his speaking to Hashem, Vayar, Vinei, Shlosha, Anashim, Nitzavim, I love. There are three people, angels, people, and Avram leaves Shechina. And Chazal tells Gdola Hachnasas Orchim, it's even greater than Kabbalas Pnei Shechina. He leaves the Shechina, he runs. Vayar, Vayara Tzlich Larsam. He runs to them, and he offers them drink, and he offers them food, and he starts preparing bread. Vayemaher Avraham. He runs. And El Habakar Rotz Avraham. Vayitin El Anar Vayemaher La'asoso. Rotz, Vayimaher, Zrizus. When it comes to Chesed, so Avram is of course a paragon. When it comes to Ben Adam La, Makom, as we discussed, Akedas Yitzchak, Vayashkim Avram Baboker, Bris Milah, Vayashkim Avram Baboker. It's constant Zrizus when it comes to fulfilling Dvar Hashem. There's a sense of Zrizus in everything he does. He's the Baal Chesed par excellence. But we also find sometimes that Chesed can sometimes get misguided. And sometimes kindness and chesed and givingness can get distorted. And we find this towards the end of the parsha is people surround the house of Lot. And who are these visitors? The same visitors who now came to visit Lot. And Lot also invites them in. And the people of Sodom, they don't like visitors. They don't like strangers. They don't like outsiders. They pounding on the door. Who is this? Who is there? These strangers ask, where are those men? Where are those men that came in? And Lot peeks through the door and he says, Hinena li shte banos. Take my daughters. Lot is trying to do a chesed, but it's distorted. He's trying to protect these men, but he's giving over his daughters. It's a distorted sense of chesed. It's off. There's something off. Sometimes kindness, sometimes chesed can be very, very misguided. Perhaps we even see Avram Avinu, his flesh and blood. There's a Yishmael and there's a Yitzchak. It's his own flesh and blood. And Sarah understands that Yishmael is not good for Yitzchak. It's a bad influence on Yitzchak. It's not good to have a Pera Adam around. It's not good. And Avram says, how can I banish my son? And he wants to keep his son close for only altruistic reasons. And Hashem says, no. Kol asher tomar Sarah shma b'kolah. This is not a time for that kind of chesed. That kind of chesed is going to do you damage. It's a misguided kind of chesed. There's different kinds of chasadim. There's altruistic. Everyone's altruistic. But sometimes you have to understand that sometimes a chesed is actually not the right thing, not the right approach. A person has to say, no, here, no. There's no room for kindness. There's no room for warmth. There's no room for an embrace. Hard decisions have to be made. And the world now, as we're experiencing, is trying to be nice to a purportedly downtrodden, oppressed, persecuted people. But we have to understand there's sometimes chesed can be very, very misguided. And a person has to really have a sense of emes, where chesed is appropriate and where chesed is very, very misguided. Things to think about as we go through these very, very trying times. Our chesed has to be very overwhelmingly positive for our people, and the world has to really look very deeply and very hard about what they're perceiving as their righteousness, as their chasidut, as their righteous indignation. One has to be very, very careful to make sure their chesed is guided in the right fashion. Have a wonderful Shabbos Kodesh.